What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be once again discussing the alien hybrids. For as far back as I can remember, I have been absolutely terrified of anything having to do with outer space, aliens. It was completely irrational and totally unexplainable, or so I thought. Recently, I've been uncovering some repressed memories of experiences and conversations that I've had with actual extraterrestrials. No abduction memories uncovered yet, but lots of healings and also some strange dreams of being aboard several different crafts. I did an exclusive interview with our friend Dylan from Creepy Unsolved Mysteries when I first started remembering these things. Mainly, they come in my dreams, my memories. I have promised exclusive access to what I've uncovered since speaking with Dylan and Sabrina to Spaced Out Radio for the New Year's Eve show, but more on that later on. Also, I have a book coming out next year of my personal experiences all throughout my life that I've had with many different supernatural and paranormal, and now I guess extraterrestrial entities, so I don't want to spoil that fun either by giving it all away right here. I often wonder if agreeing to do that book is what made all of these memories suddenly become available to me. I'm not sure, and maybe I'll never know, but I think there's actually a chance I might find out. I have a feeling I'm about to be made some kind of messenger of sorts, but anyways, guys, moving on, sorry. I did a video a while back on the alien hybrid program, and as terrified as I was of extraterrestrials, and besides the fact I avoided anything having to do with them and or outer space like the plague, somehow this particular subject was always the exception for me. The hybrids, always interested in that and that alone. Ever since I came across it like 10 years ago, it's become somewhat of an obsession, like the BEK. It's so awesome and amazing that now, because I work with such amazing people, not to mention how like-minded they all are, and because of you guys being so like-minded and understanding, I can freely speak about topics like this and have people who actually will take me seriously. I can now have intelligence conversations about all of the things that have been fascinating me throughout my strange and mostly paranormal life. I wanted to go deeper into the types of hybrids there are and what the purpose is, like what each race is making or needing hybrids for. There's just so much I want to cover in the series, and that's why it's taken me so long to make a part 2. Thanks for bearing with me, and here it is, facts and information about the alien hybrid program. Please be advised that while I encourage skeptics to check out my videos and information, I always say if you still remain very skeptical after hearing what I have to say, that's cool with me, as long as you kept an open mind and had some fun while you were here. I'll be speaking in terms of this as it's all actually happening and factual, because I believe with everything that I am and every part of me in what I'm about to report to you guys. There seems to be some recurring themes when it comes to being visited by the alien hybrids. Females are far more likely to have interactions with them than males, and that's by like a really large margin. Women seem to be abducted at such a higher percentage as well, at least when it comes to the hybrid abduction. I have my own theory on this, and that's that women are able to be impregnated far easier than the men are able to donate what they need to donate. Like, it's easier for the extraterrestrials to impregnate a woman than to take what they need from a man and insert it into a female alien. I believe the birth and mortality rate of the hybrid babies, as far as carrying to full term, is far more successful when it's the human woman carrying the hybrid child. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head, but I'm not sure I explained it right. Under hypnotic regression, numerous women have reportedly been taken on board a UFO, or on more than a few occasions to an underground installation where they were introduced to these hybrids. Of course, the underground component, little people issue adds to the centuries-old fairy encounters and the changeling phenomena that has its undeniable parallels to today's UFO scene and abductions. Fairy abductions, UFO abductions. If you remember in my book or in Missing in the Fae, I think it was part 1 or part 2 on Missing Persons and Mysteries, I talked about the woman who was abducted and brought to the castle in the sky by these strange beings. Now, I do think she was abducted by fairies, but is there a correlation between the Fae and the UFOs? I don't know. I am researching it though. I mean, if you're someone who knows anything about me at all, and especially if you've been with me for a while, and also, like I said, if you've read my book, you'll understand why this particular fact is extremely intriguing to me. The parallels, like I said, between the Fae and the UFOs are definitely there. Do I believe in coincidence? No, absolutely not. But I do believe that these supernatural beings both work in the same way, but one probably has nothing to do with the other. In these situations, the woman will either be laying on something akin to an operating room table or sitting in a chair that resembles a dentist chair. So lounge back, trying to, I guess, make her relax. They might not know what relax means because they don't really have emotions as far as what I've uncovered. This is where the terror starts though. They're far from relaxing. It's also, in my opinion, one of the most fascinating parts of the whole hybrid ordeal. This happens to men as well, but because the percentage is so much higher of it happening to women, almost astronomically so, I'm focusing right now on the hypnotic regressions and experience told by the women for now. So the woman who's supposed to be relaxed but is actually terrified laying in this dentist chair or on this operating room table, she's sitting or lying there. She's approached by a group of small gray aliens. Now there are the tall grays and the small grays, remember, okay? And they both are responsible for the majority of abductions. I don't pretend to know everything there is to know about aliens. Like I said, I just started the research, but it's coming, guys, because I am fascinated. And you guys know me. Once I get a bone, I'm gone with it. So anyways, she's approached by a group of the small grays, and I'm sure I don't have to explain what they are at this point, but most likely will either in this video or another part of this series. So the grays approach her, and one of them will be holding a tiny little baby in their hands. It'll be immediately clear and obvious to the woman that this infant isn't entirely human. It'll have some human traits and characteristics though. These vary by the child, just as humans all look different and have some genes that come through stronger from the mother and some that come through stronger from the father. So it's kind of like that. Each baby will be different depending upon its genetics. The grays will then encourage the female to take the baby and cradle it. Almost exactly like when you give birth nowadays and the doctor or nurses in the room place the child immediately on the mother's bare skin if possible. She will then be encouraged by these grays to bond with this little hybrid baby. Research of the phenomenon have suggested, probably correctly, that this procedure is undertaken to try and instill an emotional bond between the abductee and the hybrid baby. While this may all sound very peaceful and calm, most of the time it's the exact opposite. There's a trauma we haven't discussed yet, and it may be triggering for some of you guys. A trauma aside from the fact that this woman is an abductee of extraterrestrials and aboard a UFO while all of this is happening or underground. I don't think I'd really freak out so much about the baby as I would about all of the other things going on at the same time. I mean, it's a baby. However, then I researched further, as I do, and found out that a large majority of these female abductees were pregnant with human babies months earlier and had sudden and unexplained miscarriages. I don't even know if I could say that. Had sudden and unexplained loss of baby. So these women were preparing to have a baby and start their families or add to them, and all of a sudden, and usually with no scientific or medical reason, they lose the baby. Now, less than a year later, they're going through this harrowing ordeal of abduction and being encouraged to bond with an alien baby. A baby that most likely reminds them of what they lost. It reminds them of what was probably the most sad, tragic, and traumatic moment of their lives. There's been so many reports of women who say they were abducted as part of these hybrid programs who have had medically diagnosed miscarriages. Or was it just a presumption that they were miscarriages? So the presumption of miscarriage, just stay with me here. What if the baby was taken by the aliens with or most likely without the mother's knowledge and moved to some sort of artificial womb aboard a craft somewhere, maybe where the father or other alien parent is? They did all miscarry at around the same time too. Most of these women report that when they did finally hold the little hybrid baby, they just somehow knew, like they knew with everything they were, their heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit, that this was the baby they were already carrying and thought they had lost. In this scenario, abduction researchers suggest the abductees are impregnated during an earlier abduction. Then they carry the fetus for a number of months, and then it's removed from the mother during a later abduction and essentially grown in what we might as humans consider an artificial womb. I understand that this is a scenario that some may say is outrageous or impossible or downright silly. And while it is an insane thought, to be sure, it's not a possibility that can be dismissed. The reason why is as amazing as it is controversial. We, the human race, are now working hard and fast to develop artificial wombs. The process of growing a fetus and bringing it to full term in an artificial womb is called ectogenesis. Much of the research is still at a theoretical stage, predominantly because of restrictions and regulations that govern the ethical or unethical use of human embryos and experimentation. But not all of it is. I can give you at least 2 examples that I found, but that would be going a bit beyond what I'm trying to present to you here. But probably in a future video down the line in this series, I will talk to you guys more about this. The one thing that I can see as being a potential disadvantage, and this could just be the fact that I'm a mother of 5, is that the moment most women find out they're pregnant, they quickly start developing a bond with the embryo, with their baby. Immediately it becomes their child, and I think that artificial wombs are pretty emotionless, but as with everything else, I do believe if we keep an open mind and get all the facts and information, we can understand why, in some cases, they may be necessary. Again, though, that's all for another time, and as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just so excited about this research. Let's get back to the hybrids. There is a way we can discuss this artificial womb and keep focused on what we are here to discuss today if you watched the last video I did on the subject. And remember how I said that I believe very much in the information I came across that said the alien grays, who are not the only ones involved in this hybrid program, but seem to be the most prominent, both the short and talls. Started off just like us on a planet just like ours. They got so into technology and so reliant and dependent on it that they lost all of their emotions. Think of this in line with the fact that a baby made in an artificial womb won't have that bond with the mother or even the father, and it could all be very emotionless. The Greys were forced underground because they destroyed their planet and lived underground for centuries or millennia, or for who knows how long. They became this gray, bug-eyed things we know them to be today. They need us in order to save themselves. If you want the full theory, check out my other video if you haven't already. I'll try to put it somewhere in this video. I have a hard time going back and doing that, but just look for it or just go under, you know, my video list to find it. So I was asking myself, like, is this how it all starts? Lab babies in artificial wombs? Is this the reason why the Greys abduct the mother and kind of force her to try bonding with this infant? Because they themselves have no idea how to bond or love anymore. So the females aboard the ship or in the underground layer or wherever are not capable of doing the job that a female human could do. So when it comes to the hybrids, they aren't fully human, they aren't fully alien. And another thing I talk about in my book when speaking on the elves who need human DNA every few hundred years or so, it's even alleged that the gray aliens started abducting people and experimenting with DNA back in biblical times or earlier. That's why they're so very advanced right now, in my opinion. That's a really long time ago. There's another theory other than the one I just talked to you about, with them needing to replenish their gene pool either after years of cloning or after becoming too dependent on tech and losing their ability to reproduce on their own. And it's very cynical. It states that they started to place the alien hybrids in Earth's society to help them overthrow the government and take over from the inside rather than a full-fledged outside attack, which would surely start a war. Some even speculate that many of the alien hybrids on Earth don't know that they are a mixed nature and are like terrorist cells that can and will be activated when the time is right for the master alien races, which are the short and tall Greys, mainly the talls, and the reptilians, who absolutely terrify me. Terrified. The main problem I see with this theory is that many people who have been abducted as part of this program know, and there are more people than I can count who have come forward and said that they know they're hybrid. Most of them think it's a blessing and wouldn't change it for anything. This is fact. Whether you believe these people is up to you, and again, there are stories in the other video of some women who came forward. So they do exist and they do know about it. Though, I do digress. Probably not all of them know what they are. Also, I want to make it known again that there are more races than just the Greys who are involved in these hybrid programs, but it looks like I won't have enough time right now to talk about all of them here. I'll make a note for myself and be sure and bring you another video on this subject very soon and go through all of the species and different kinds of hybrids that there are and maybe even why. It seems like the hybrids don't only look different based on how their DNA was mixed by the Greys, but also, if we are going by the second and more terrifying theory as to why these programs are in place, also their looks vary depending on what they're going to be used for. The hybrids with the lowest intelligence, but who are the largest in size, are said to be being bred to be slaves. Other alien hybrids are much smarter and their DNA is almost identical to the Greys. They live among them, but they're considered a lower class and they're used to help mix up the DNA, as well do menial tasks such as navigate, tend to food and prisoners, as well as do other more important tasks that the true Greys do as well, but they're treated like second-class citizens, so to speak. The ones here on Earth are everywhere, and it can be almost impossible in most cases to be able to tell what they really are without DNA testing, specifically looking for some kind of hybrid gene. Scientists by now know what to look for, and I didn't really spend much time looking up exactly what they'd be looking for yet because, again, this is going to be a multiple-part series. Allegedly, according to these people who think the agenda is much more nefarious than I and many others do, they may be presidents, teachers, kings, the working class, or really anyone in power or not. They've been said to be put here for numerous reasons, from research on humans and other life on Earth to control and the slow takeover of the planet. Some of the humanoid mixed breeds don't even know that they are mixed alien breed and are being controlled without their knowledge. You can think of them as terrorist cells that will be activated when the time is right for invasion, the New World Order, and the takeover of Earth and all its people. I have to stop and point out here that I don't necessarily agree with all of this, but I wanted to present something other than just what I believe in the interest of giving you guys as much information as possible in the time that I've allowed myself here. Of course, I know that there's always some rogues who want to do harm and who don't want to follow the protocol and rules. I mean, that can happen in any race or species of anything. For the most part, though, I tend to believe in the first theory I presented in the first video. They're desperate to save their own race. I also believe they made an agreement with the government back in, was it Eisenhower? I'm going to have to look that up because I want to tell that story too, that they can abduct a certain amount of people in exchange for technology. Most of the hybrids that are here on Earth that do know what they are mostly healers of some sort. They learn throughout their lives what they're capable of and that it's much different and much more elevated than pretty much everyone around them. This makes them lonely and start longing for somewhere other. Could it be that they have a yearning in their very soul for their other parent? It definitely could mean that very thing. I'm starting to wonder lately why I was chosen to have had all of the supernatural and paranormal, and now I'm coming to find extraterrestrial experiences I've had to live with for as long as I can remember. Like, why me? But would I trade it for anything? Hell no. Do I think I'm a hybrid of some kind? I'm not sure yet. This brings me to the last thing I want to discuss with you guys here today, and that's those of you wondering if you could possibly be a hybrid. Keep in mind, like I've said multiple times already, that I'll be covering the other species of aliens who participate in the hybrid program, but we focus mainly on the grays. I want to say that it's actually alleged that 10% of the population or more are hybrids of some kind. I've met at least 5 since I started researching this, and considering I never leave my house, that's pretty amazing. It's some of you guys, I'm just saying. So it's said that wherever a large crowd is, there will surely be a hybrid human present. There are so many qualities that identify a person as a hybrid. Keep in mind that just because someone has these qualities also doesn't necessarily mean that they are hybrids. It's all so confusing, and I think that that's exactly what the aliens depend on. Let's just go over a few of some of the many things that would qualify a person as a hybrid. The first is extreme and deep loneliness. Hybrids are often lonely and find it difficult to relate to normal humans. They might want to have a relationship with different kinds of people. Not the typical superficial people, but more like themselves. So indigo children, crystal children, rainbow children, spiritual people, etc. Earth angels, star seeds. Since they are not completely human, whether they know it or not, and that's the key here though, isn't it? They are usually plagued with a chronic disease called sinusitis. This is characterized by the sinus of the nose getting inflamed and causing a severe headache for the patient. This is another way of identifying a person as a hybrid. Hybrids will always have strange dreams. They often dream of places where they're flying, and such dreams almost always prove to them that they have extraterrestrial dreams, or at least makes them start wondering and searching. They may also have dreams of being aboard ships and or interacting with a mother figure of an alien race. The hybrid will accept this as a part of their life irrefutably. These dreams come often. During the dreams, the hybrid feels happy, content, satisfied, etc., since they are achieving their purpose on Earth, i.e. to realize their past in origin to self-realize in the future. Although, to be fair, they have many different purposes here, again, depending on what their breed is. This next one really took me by surprise because now I had every single one of these things. This is the first time I've seen this, but I've seen it in enough places that I'm very comfortable reporting it to you guys. It's been discovered that most hybrids don't have a lot or have super thin hair. They have sparse, thin, and usually black hair on their heads, but the other parts of their bodies usually have no hair. Some hybrids even resort to wearing hats or wigs so as not to stand out so much. But much of the time it's something subtle that only the hybrid will notice about themselves, and it most likely will make them even more self-conscious than they already are. This can make them feel less human and more uncomfortable. A lot of them decide to just embrace the use of wigs in order to have a more normal looking appearance. Hybrids have larger than normal eyeballs. It's said that the ones who come out looking more like the aliens, mainly in the eyes, are kept aboard the ships and raised by the other alien parent, who in most cases is the father or the male. However, the ones who are here on Earth still may have these very large eyeballs. Not to the point of looking alien, though. It's not just the eyeballs themselves, though. There's also a sense of knowing in the eyes. It's been said by people who have interacted with hybrids and later told their story, reported that it seems as though the hybrid person was looking right into their very soul. Most likely, the hybrid was doing just that, probably unintentionally. Trust me, I know all about accidentally doing something similar if I'm not careful. Anyways, they are also said to experience lower body temperatures than normal humans. They get cold easily and always have a desire for heat. They are termed as cold-blooded because their genes always pull their body temperature down. The cranium of hybrid children is a little bigger than that of normal humans. In ancient times, some people, such as the Egyptians, tried to elongate their craniums or skulls for certain purposes, but for hybrid children, it's simply naturally larger. Research has shown that children born with large heads most of the time end up becoming more intelligent and more successful than normal head-shaped human beings. Hybrids can get things done through the power of their minds by concentrating on a particular thing for a very long period of time. They can use the power of simply focusing on something to achieve what might seem impossible for normal humans, and that's moving it, smashing it, throwing it, tossing it, flinging it. Many people who are just normal may feel like someone who is a hybrid is a bit standoffish. Most of the time the hybrids are, but it's only because they don't feel comfortable interacting with normal humans. It's the alien DNA in them that makes them this way naturally, and it isn't meant as any kind of snub towards anyone. They often get a bad rap for being stuck up or snotty, but that's not the case. They're simply awkward and uncomfortable in their human skin. Most people who can be described as hermits on whatever the scale they may be on are probably some kind of hybrid. It's just that they have a deep yearning to go back to where they belong. They might not be able to explain this feeling or tell where exactly they belong, but they have the feeling deep inside of them. This is because they do not perfectly fit on this planet. Humans were designed by nature for the earth. Hence, it will take them huge efforts to fit in, but the feeling of going home will always remain within them. Hybrids have telepathic skills. They don't really need to communicate with you to know your thoughts and feelings. They could read your emotions and energy and sometimes even your mind and know what you're going to say or do, possibly even before you know. Just so you guys know, every human being can develop such skills, but theirs is inborn. They could use it to their advantage in so many ways. Imagine a hybrid human present undergoing an interview conducted by a normal human. The result of the test would be known to them before the interview ends. This is because they could read the interviewer's mind. Most hybrid humans are sensitive to electromagnetic or electric fields. When they get into such a field, they become uncomfortable and can't think straight anymore. Their thinking processes get disrupted due to their high sensitivity. There are so many ways to tell if someone is a hybrid if you really wanted to, and I've been thinking lately that maybe this is where my gifts come from. I just don't know. I need someone who will give me a past life regression, and I can't seem to find anyone who doesn't charge a fantastical amount of money, which I do not have. Guys, that's all I have for you today. What do you think? Do you think you're a hybrid? Do you even believe in any of this? Let me know in the comments below, please. Please be sure and like this video if you enjoyed the topic, if you liked hanging out with me just to make me happy and smile. Spread the love by sharing this video. Guys, please share it. I put it on Facebook and I never get any shares. I would really appreciate it. It only takes one click. Subscribe if you aren't already, and if you are subscribed, make sure your notification bell is on. Please check out the description box where you will find a link to my Wednesday night live stream, free oracle readings. First come, first serve for anyone who comes in the chat. I talk to you guys and I pull one card from an oracle deck that the universe picks, and I give you your oracle reading for the week. It goes from 7:15 p.m. Eastern time to 10:45, 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Also, you'll find the link for my interview with Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio back on October 7th, where I talked about my book, Missing the Fae Theory, Fairies, and even Robot Granny. It was a really amazing time. On December 11th, which as I'm filming this is next Saturday, I am going to be a part of the After Hour show with Big Willie Townsend and John. I can't ever remember his name, John. I'm so sorry. But come on in and check it out. It streams over on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to talk all things extraterrestrial and paranormal, and I've already got some really awesome topics lined up. Subscribe over there as well so you can get the notifications for when the show is starting. Also, on Amazon, you will find my book, Missing the Fae Theory by Gemma Jade. There will be links in the description box for the Kindle version and the paperback version. If you want a signed copy, hit me up before you make that purchase. For donations to the channel, PayPal, Cash App, Patreon, and Amazon wishlist gift link will be in the description box as well. My email, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. Hit me up if you have any encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal, extraterrestrial, whatever it is, and you want it to be a part of my listener encounters series. I'm up to 14, guys. Thank you so much. You guys provide that content, and that's so awesome. If you want a free personal oracle reading that I do for a donation of your choice or free, hit me up also on that email for any other correspondence. And if you have suggestions to what I can cover, I don't like taking true crime cases anymore, guys. I will try to cover them if you give them to me, or I'll pass them along to Steve for MPNF. Guys, be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything, can make you feel so good, but also be kind to yourself and make sure you stand in your power and make others be kind to you as well. If you outgrow somebody or something, try to move it along as best you can. Don't stay miserable. Life is too short. Death is too certain. Okay? Always go in grace. Smile at a stranger. Have your best day. Have your best night. And I will see you next time. Bye.